sports generates billions of dollars every year for universities and colleges, including the NCAA. But the real question, do the players themselves, the ones who are driving this engine, do they deserve a cut of all that cash? Former UCLA basketball player Ed Bannon says yes. He and about 15 other former collegiate players are suing the NCAA. They allege that players should be paid considering all the revenue they help university systems generate. Ed, of course, will join us from Las Vegas, but right here, his attorney, Michael Hausfeld, is here in studio with us. And Michael, first of all, thank you for joining us on NewsOne Now.
Good morning. You're welcome.
The NCAA makes billions from the television contract for basketball.
Right.
The football contract was different. The Supreme Court ruling allowed the schools to negotiate their own deals. This suit is significant because it deals also with the likeness. Talk about that, where you have players who no longer play for a school, but the NCAA was still using their likeness in video games, still selling their jersey all across the country.
Well, the entire area of collegiate sports was changed literally with the advent of television and technology. When games are broadcast and or rebroadcast or live streamed, there is a requirement in the licensing program that the licensor, the broadcaster, get the rights from all of the entities and athletes involved in order to broadcast and or stream those rights. What happens with the NCAA is they basically steal those rights from the players and pay them nothing for them, but collect all of that money from the broadcasters and the video game manufacturers.
Now, of course, they say, well, look, you know, we provided them with the platform and the education, but let's use Oscar Robertson as an example. One of the 50 greatest players in NBA history, Hall of Famer. The NCAA is using his likeness in a video game. He played at Cincinnati 50-plus years ago. Anybody with common sense knows that that player with the Cincinnati jersey happens to have the same numbers as Oscar Robertson. You think that you're playing Oscar Robertson in a video game, but he doesn't get a cut of the proceeds.
Absolutely. And what's worse, let's go back a second into history. There are many employers that would always say, oh, look, in return for your work, I give you a place to live and I give you food and clothing. That's malarkey when you're making billions of dollars. So it's not a one-way street. There is a hypocrisy, a fraud being perpetrated by the NCAA and all the conferences and schools in that in return for an education, these players give us their rights.
But also I remind people, Michael, and first of all, I mean, I'm very clear. I've been highly critical of the NCAA for years on this. I worked for the athletic department in the video lab at Texas A&M when I was there. And what bothers me is that if you're a student on a music scholarship, you can go cut a CD. You can actually go get a deal and make money from your craft. But if you are a football player or a basketball player, and if the local paper wants you to write a column, they say, oh, no, you're using your sport to generate money for you, and going, yeah, but you're selling my jersey for $79.99 and you're doing the exact same thing. And
it's worse for the athlete because the athlete, for example, if they were on a music scholarship, you could still go out and play a gig.
Right.
If you're an athlete, you can't do anything to earn any money in any form. There were athletes, for example, one in Minnesota in particular, who cut a CD, and he was told that he could not continue to sell that CD because he was an athlete.
Which has nothing to do with the sport.
Absolutely.
Joining us on the phone right now is Ed Bannon from Las Vegas. And Ed, first of all, this is a huge lawsuit. The NCAA has been fighting you guys for quite some time, but you have been winning round after round after round. Have you heard from former players encouraging you to keep moving forward to continue this lawsuit?
Yes, I have. I've heard from a number of former players that have been kind of fighting the silent fight, if you will, and are almost kind of pushing me forward to continue this fight. So absolutely, yes, I've heard from.
Do you believe, Ed, that because you now have coaches making $4 and $5 million a year, the public opinion has changed? Because for a long time, a lot of fans would say, hey, athletes, shut up and just play ball. Now that you see coaches with television contracts and, Mike Krzyzewski of Duke, he's doing American Express commercials and things along those lines, that fans are finally realizing, wait a minute, who are the ones who are actually driving this engine?
Yeah, it's a great point, and it's a point that players have been kind of saying for a long time. And I think now that a lot of salaries, I guess, or knowledge of salaries and knowledge of ways that coaches and others are making money, I guess really off the backs of the players, people are starting to realize that and are pushing the players or pushing for the players to get a piece of the pie, for lack of a better word.
Michael, I had Taylor Branch on this show. We talked about his ebook, The Cartel, regarding the NCAA, and it was amazing reading that book. They love to talk about student athlete, but the reality is that term was created by a lawyer to defend the NCAA in a lawsuit. That wasn't created out of the goodness of for the player.
Absolutely, and let's look at the athlete. As an athlete, they're being recruited to come to the university because of their skills. TV broadcasters are willing to pay for those skills. What would the game be worth if, for example, on game day, Stanford put out its math team? Who would pay for it?
There's a woman sitting out there who's a mother right now, and coaches are coming to her. There's a father out there as well, and they're saying, yeah, we're going to promise your kid an education. But the other thing is that this here, and Ed, you may have seen this at UCLA in basketball. Look, these scholarships are not guaranteed 4-year scholarships. They're really pay or play. And so I think that this is a huge issue, and we certainly will continue to follow that. I'm out of time right now. But again, we're going to keep on top of it because it's a matter of the rights of these players. They shouldn't have to play for free.
Every weekday morning, kickstart your day with NewsOne Now, dedicated to your issues and your concerns with the perspective you've been waiting for. NewsOne Now, hosted by Roland Martin, every weekday morning at 9 on TV1.